Hi, everyone who's joining. Also, hello to anyone who's going to catch the replay. Let me open up the chat. There we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. In case I'm new to you, my name is Timea Urban. I go by the Urban Healer. Yes, Urban is my last name. Definitely scored there. I am so happy to guide you guys through a masterclass today. We will be having a little bit of a discussion, and then we'll be doing an actual experience. So in case you're driving, pretty please don't close your eyes when we get to the experience part, and then don't sue me, okay? Thank you. Is anybody brand new to somatic healing? Is anybody brand new to the subconscious mind? If it's a yes, drop it in the chat box. There's no judgment here. Whether you guys are OG veterans or whether you're like, I don't even know what somatic healing is, I love that you're here. And I'll definitely have time at the very end for you guys to ask your questions. Yay! Jessie is new to somatic healing. Amazing. A lot of people do somatic healing in different ways. So it's not just like one. So if you've been to one yoga class, there's like a million types. But that being said, I'm so glad that you're trying something new. I will say that somatic healing was like the missing link in my own healing journey. And when I uncovered it, I was like, oh, I see. This is the thing that we need to do. Essentially, somatic healing is all about the body. So if you're not healing that part, then you're missing a huge part of the equation. Today's masterclass is all about giving yourself space to receive the goodness. I have been coaching women for quite a few years now. And what was interesting to find is that we don't have a hard time with struggling. We have a hard time with feeling the joy, the goodness. And when things actually start going the way we wanted to, we freak out. And that I found interesting. And then I'm like, why? What's going on here and how can we shift it? Your life will always expand to the level your nervous system can hold. And your nervous system is actually terrified of feeling good. And that is something I would love to shift for you. In case you're a little bit of a type A girly, most of you are, I know. Here's a little agenda just to know what to expect. So we're going to do a moment of grounding. Grounding is super important just so we can land in this space. Then we're going to talk about the problem of success. It's a really big problem to have. Let's fix it. Capacity versus capability, because there's a huge difference. Why your brain is going to resist the new you. Let's talk about self-sabotage, because that's something that we all go through. And then what actually creates change as opposed to something that kind of lasts for a couple of days and we fall off the bandwagon. And then, of course, we're also going to do an experience, do a integration, and then we'll talk about what's next. So in case you're brand new to me, like I mentioned, my name is Timea Urban. I'm a neurotrauma trained registered nurse. I do technically still practice nursing, just not very often. I'm a podcast host with the Discover Your Joy podcast. I'm a speaker and I'm also a life and success coach. I love somatic healing. That's all about the body, nervous system expansion, not just regulation. Everyone's talking about let's get regulated and I just need to be calm. That's not realistic. And that's actually not the point either. And then I love talking about the subconscious mind because you will always fall to the level of your beliefs. You're not going to be able to motivate and push through just discipline to the next level unless those beliefs are in line with your goals. So let's take a second to ground. If it feels good to you, I'll invite you to close down your eyes. If you just want to focus on something, you can do that as well. Whatever feels good for you, but just take a second to take a big breath in. So we're going to inhale in through the nose, sending it all the way down towards the belly. And then when you exhale, I'm going to invite you to make some sound. Exhale it out. So the louder the sound, the weirder the sound, the better, because you're activating your vagus nerve, because you're allowing a vibration to go through the neck. So let us do that a few times. A nice big breath in. Complete. Exhale out. And I just want you to consider, what is success to you? How do you know you're successful? What are those check marks? What feels like success? And we're going to land in the mind of what's coming in your head in terms of the thoughts, the beliefs, but then also check in with the body. When you're thinking about success, does that feel overwhelming? Does that feel exciting? Does that feel triggering? Does that feel like, oh, it'll never happen to me? And there's any sort of wave of anxiety or your gut drops, whatever it is, just check in with the thoughts as well as the sensations. So now the goal is not to force success. That's something we need to remember. The goal is to stop fearing it. We're funny like that. We want something, but then we're scared to have it. And as you're sitting with your body, allow your feet to get really heavy, your legs are really heavy, maybe do a bit of a wiggle, allowing your pelvis to land wherever you're sitting, just really soften through the body. And just give your body permission to be here now. Whatever you need to do later, we'll do it later. However your day has been, we're just going to put it to the side. All we're doing is landing in this moment, in the now, as we are, focusing on the breath, and just priming our mind in terms of what success is and what that looks like for you. I'll invite you to take another big breath in through the nose, filling up through the chest, through the belly. Gently hold on full. And then a big exhale out, sighing it out, let it go. Beautiful. And then slowly begin to open up your eyes and landing back in the now. So the real problem is success feeling unsafe, which makes no sense logically, because when you're thinking about it, you're like, I want the things I want, give them to me now. And logically, yes, yes, yes. But if someone were to give them to you in this moment, your nervous system would freak out. Like, let me send you 10K just for fun. Send me your email address. I'm going to send you an e-transfer. Your brain's going to go to, wait, is that a scam? Wait, what's the fine print? Wait, what's going to happen? Wait, are you going to ask for it back? Wait. And we freak out. And this is something that just happens because, humans are really interesting. And that has to do with the dysregulation that success causes. Most people are thinking, okay, I need more discipline. I need more motivation. I need a better strategic move, a better sales funnel. I need more supplements. I need that something. And we're looking outside of ourselves. But then really, we don't need that. What we need is for our nervous system to feel safe in receiving more. And again, this is where things get a little bit funny because our nervous system, if you think about it from biology, it's designed to keep you alive. So as long as you're breathing, check mark, your nervous system's like, I did a good job. But that sucks. I don't want you just breathing. I don't want you forcing yourself through life. Your nervous system is not designed to make you feel happy and joy and fulfilled. That's not the purpose. So then you want to keep everything the same. The nervous system wants things to be familiar, predictable, known. You want to know what's coming up next. And that feels safe because if something is predictable, then you know what to expect and then you won't die because you're alive right now. So everything that you've done in the past, that means it's going to keep you alive. We want to keep it the same. But if you're used to chaos, inconsistency, emotional unavailability, financial stress, burnout, if you're used to the drama, your body's like, well, that's what I'm used to. That is my pattern. That is my conditioning. We're just going to continuously repeat it. So then when things start getting good, you quite frankly freeze up and you're like, ooh, whoa. I'm used to chaos. Where's the chaos? When is it coming? And you get really scared because something has changed. What felt predictable before is no longer predictable because something has shifted. And then your brain's like, wait, if it's unpredictable, what if I die? And I know that sounds like such an extreme thing to say, but that is actually how your nervous system views anything changing. So if all of a sudden you're struggling with money and you're making the money, your nervous system's like, oh, I don't know, this doesn't feel right. If all of a sudden you meet the love of your life and they're actually treating you really well, if that's not something you're used to, your nervous system's going to be like, too good to be true. Let me just self-sabotage. Let me get out of here. And the other thing that's really important for us to realize is that there's a difference between capacity and capability. I work with a lot of business owners, and this is something that always comes up. Every single woman I work with is incredibly successful, fully capable, but her capacity might not be to its best. So high achievers, capable. Nervous system capacity, completely different. We're able to get shit done. Amen, done. Great, check mark. But then, can you handle more? Because if you don't have the capacity to handle more, then that's your max. And the way that I always visualize it, if you want to get a venti latte, but you have a tall cup, that's it. Like the barista can give you all the coffee and keep on pouring, but then it's pouring over because your cup is too small. So the big thing for us to remember is that we actually want to build capacity, because once we have more capacity, we can receive more. It's not the capability, because that's already there. If you're here, you are capable. If you want change and you're motivated by success and you want to achieve those goals, capacity is the issue, not being capable. And the whole thing that people don't realize is that your next level requires a complete different nervous system that you can't just mindset power through. That's not how it works. And think about this when you were younger. When you went to grade 1 and you were doing math class, you didn't really know what you're doing. You're like learning the basics, but then you needed that in order to go to grade 2, to grade 8, to grade 12. That's something where you're growing, you're expanding, you're learning. But your nervous system also needs to do the learning, which feels basic, but it's something we can't skip because there's nowhere for the goodness to land. And here's the other thing. Our bodies kind of know what the norm is. How much success are you used to? How much emotional intensity are you used to? How much responsibility are you used to? How much uncertainty are you used to? When I was a nurse, when I was in nursing school, I mean, they let you do some stuff, but not that much. Then when I got hired as a neurotrauma nurse at a trauma center in Toronto, if I don't hold someone's neck properly, I can quite literally break their neck. That's a different level of capacity. Capability wise, yeah, I read the textbook, I know what to do, but then do you have the capacity to actually handle something that's kind of life and death? And don't forget, our nervous system looks at everything as being life or death. And if you don't know how to do that, if your nervous system doesn't have that capacity yet, you're going to default into old programming. So you're going to drop into perfectionism, you're going to drop into procrastination, you're going to avoid, you're going to be emotionally shut down. You're not going to let the goodness get better and for it to continue to grow. You're almost like hot potato. You're like, oh, I don't know what to do here. And you just throw it away. And here's the other thing that it's a little bit frustrating, where your brain doesn't actually want you to change. People don't talk about this enough for us to be aware of this. So if you're just doing logical mindset work, that's not enough. You're not getting into the nitty-gritty. Your brain wants you to stay the same, because if you stay the same, things are safe, it is stable, and you're not going to die. Again, it sounds so extreme, but that is how our bodies are programmed to function. So then when we're looking at this, what are some things we need to be aware of? Predictive coding. Your brain is constantly predicting what's going to happen next. We don't want there to be too many variables because it actually overloads our brain, because we can only hold so much information in our brain at a time. This is going to be based on your past experiences, your emotional memory, your subconscious beliefs, your conditioning. So you're almost like primed to see things in a certain way, but then you also don't want anything to change, because then there's this opportunity for something to go wrong. Your brain prefers everything to stay the same, but it's also a way for our brain to conserve energy, because if we're constantly hit with new information, our brain would actually just shut down. So let's say if you have way too many tabs open on your computer, I mean, we all have that, but if you have way too many, your operating system just can't handle it anymore, like shuts down. So again, our brain has to want to predict and look for patterns for it to be a way for us to function as humans. Now, the thing we need to remember is if you grew up in chaos, if you were criticized a lot, whether it was by family members or maybe you had a bully growing up, if there was a lot of inconsistency in terms of anything, like can it be food? Can it be money? Can it be love? If there was any pressure where there was a lot of expectation for you to be perfect, for you to perform, for you to have a certain level of achievement, if there was unpredictability, if there's any sort of lack in your childhood, that is what you're programmed to. That is what you're looking for. That is the pattern you're used to. And that's unfortunately the pattern you're going to continue falling into unless you break it. So if things are good and happy and calm and abundant and things are expanding in a good way, that's an unfamiliar pattern in your nervous system. Nope, no, thank you. I don't like this. I would like to go back to my chaos because that's what I'm used to. The next big thing is the identity threat. So success isn't just something external. It's like, oh, I got the promotion. Oh, I'm making more money. Oh, I got the bigger house. That's not the only thing about success. If you're successful, your identity changes. And then again, your nervous system, your subconscious mind are glitching because they're like, wait, that's not who I am. Here's the thing. You can't be someone who's struggling, poor, overworking, carrying burnout like a badge of honor, and someone who is happy, successful, wealthy, regulated, lives a life of abundance and goodness. You can't do both. My grandma, who's Hungarian, has the weirdest saying. So translating this saying is going to sound really weird, but it really like paints the picture. You can't sit on two chairs with one ass, you're going to fall. So imagine you have like one bump cheek here, one bump cheek here, and then there's two chairs and you're going to fall. So you can't be the struggling, poor, overworking woman who's also the successful, abundant, happy, regulated one. You can't do both. But then that means one identity needs to die. And again, your nervous system's like, oh, no, we can't let anything die. If we die, we're dead. And that's the whole purpose of us staying alive and surviving. So your brain literally glitches. And again, if you have the capacity in your nervous system to handle the change, then there's room for that wiggle room, as opposed to there's nothing and it's at its max. So when women are changing their income or their standards, or they get more confident, or they get more visible, you going from 1,000 followers to, I don't know, 500,000, that's a different level of pressure. And you're going to have a moment where your body's going to start glitching. If you're doing this, your subconscious mind is going to be really confused. So it's like, who am I? Am I her? Am I her? I can't be both. Is it safe? Is it not safe? What if something bad happens? And then all of a sudden you go back into that spiral of creating some sort of self-sabotage. Your identity is something that causes predictability. So if your identity is shifting, then there's a risk for something going wrong. And your brain is going to get really nervous by this, but it's not like the part of you has actually died. Obviously, logically, we know this, but we need to remind our somatic part of our body, not just our logic, that we're actually embodying both parts. The person who was struggling and had to build the resilience and the grit and has gone through X, Y, and Z, we don't actually kill her. She's still you. The same way we don't get like rid of an arm. Like you're going to keep your appendages. Everything's good. It's just embodying. But there has to be that moment where you let your nervous system and your subconscious know that, hey, we're not actually losing anything. We're gaining and it's a good gain. So let's create that shift. Now, the last thing, and I'm sure you guys have heard it because I feel like it's turning into a little bit of a buzzword, the reticular activating system. So, your brain has a filter, and this is going to be based on your beliefs and your identity and how important you see those aspects. Now, when I was creating this slide, this made me laugh because remember a couple years ago, like I would say pre-pandemic, where everyone had those really weird filters. It's like you turn into a cat or there's like sparkles and there was just like crazy filters. Imagine you chose that filter and you can't change it. Like that is your filter for life. Now, how I ran my business in like 2018, 2019, even like early 2020 is not how I run my business now in 2026. So now imagine that is your filter and that's it. You can't change it. It's permanent. Like, my God, imagine I'm going on a like corporate call and I'm like a cat. Like, that's ridiculous. But that's the thing with our RAS, where you choose a filter, and this might be the filter of lack where you might view money as bad, or you might find, if something good happens, something bad has to happen right after. And that is your filter, and that's how you view the world. But then you're also going to attract those opportunities, and that is also what's going to be what feels safe. So we, yay, can change our filter the same way we can upgrade our RAS for it to be filtering different aspects of information and for us to look for good. So this is kind of like we're looking for the silver lining, but not in a toxic positivity way, but in a pause, scan your system, and you might be like, okay, my life is a little bit spicy right now. I'm not loving all the things that are happening, but what is good? And there is always going to be good things that we can look for. And when we're looking for those good things, you're going to attract more of those opportunities only because your mind is looking for them. So the good is always there, the bad is always there. But for you to have more focus on the good is going to build that resilience. And also, now we're creating predictability in terms of good on top of good. Yes, please, more, please. And that is what we want to call in. So, why do high achieving women struggle with ease the most? Honestly, y'all need to stop. Because why are we making things so difficult? We need to make things easier because you absolutely deserve it. So many high achieving women have learned that when they're receiving love, it came with performance, or their worth comes from productivity, or their safety is on the other side of achievement. And this is something that, whether this was ingrained in you while you were a child or there were certain experiences, I mean, when it comes down to it, if you were climbing the corporate ladder, you did that because of certain actions and certain beliefs, and you definitely had to sacrifice and put in some grit to like work your way up. So that's not a bad thing, but it's also going to be celebrated. So we all have addictions. This is just humans. We are the way we are. Some people are addicted to drugs, and people aren't going to celebrate that as much, of course. But then if you're somebody who's addicted to being busy, or you're very addicted to, moving up that corporate ladder, or you're addicted to burnout, or you're addicted to, okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? When you do that, that is celebrated. Oh my goodness, you've achieved so much. Oh my goodness, look at all those certifications. Oh my goodness, look at this, that, and the other. So then that is actually going to add more fuel to your fire of like, oh, but I'm getting validation. So let me do more of that. So when all of a sudden good things start happening just because they do, and you didn't have to work harder, again, the predictability aspect has shifted, and then your entire nervous system is going to be glitching a little bit, like, oh, I don't know. And this is definitely something that I went through when I was transitioning from being a full-time nurse to being a business owner, where I get paid more than a nurse per hour, but it's not hard. I love what I do for a living. I also don't have people's lives in my hands where if I make a mistake, I could kill somebody. I mean, of course, I can make mistakes in my business, but no one's going to die. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, the stress has gone down. There's flexibility. I love what I do. There's no shift work. There's no puke or poo. Amazing. Love this. And I'm getting paid more. Ooh, literally my body was glitching, being like, this feels weird. Why is this happening? And I got really nervous. And then I started capping my income. course, I realized my pattern, worked through the pattern, we moved on. But that's something that we just do. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's just how your body and your biology and physiology, neuroscience, that's how we are programmed. But there's ways of tweaking it and moving it around. So then when things are easy, you might be like, wait a minute, am I being irresponsible? If you're slowing down and your body's like, oh, no, that's not safe. I'm going to lose momentum. No, you're human. You actually need to rest every once in a while. You can't just keep on going. And this is something that I heard on a podcast, and it was so interesting to me. An athlete who rests is called recovery. But if a business owner rests, it's called laziness. What? That doesn't make sense. Like, no one's 24/7. Like, we're not robots. We're also not small men. So our bodies and our cycles and our energy levels are going to be different throughout the month. So we cannot show up the same way every single day. And that doesn't make us weaker. It's like we make it up on the times when we do have more energy. But then if we're programmed to think of like, if you're resting, you're lazy. Oh my goodness, your business is going to fall apart. But that's not true. So there's, again, we need to do some reprogramming to reset that. The other thing that we're really addicted to is urgency. That's something that society has ingrained in us. It's like everything has to be now, or actually everything has to be yesterday. We're all behind. We're addicted to adrenaline. We're addicted to that, like, what's next? You got to keep on going. You got to do more. And even when you achieve those milestones, people don't sit with that. It's like, oh my God, I just finished that. That's amazing. And then you're just like, oh, that's great. Let that land in your body. You don't. Because high achievers are going to be like, okay, yeah, cool. Got it, done. Let's go. It's like you drop the ball on something tiny, you're holding on to that for weeks. You achieve this massive goal that you've been working on for months, and you're just like, okay, let's keep going. Why did we do that? It's conditioning, it's programming, it's our belief system. So a lot of women want peace and they want the serenity and they want the ease and they want things. It's like the soft CEO era. I mean, that is its own beast that I'm gonna have to like untackle it at some point. But we want that softness. But then when you take a moment to rest, you get agitated. And again, personal experience. I used to have the worst time to just lay there. I'm like, I can't meditate. Oh no, I'm not a meditator. No, I was just, fired up and my nervous system was absolutely fried. So when I used to go to yoga, when you are in a yoga class, especially in Toronto, not judging y'all, but it's a thing y'all do. You're in a yoga class, you're in Shavasana. The teacher's like, take your time, no rush. You can stay here as long as you want. And the teacher hasn't even like gotten up from their meditation cushion, and you already hear somebody like, roll up that yoga mat and they're gone. It's like, hold on, like, did you even take a full breath to just land in that? The whole purpose of yoga is for you to enjoy your shavasana, the rest pose at the end. So I realized that I got into like a really competitive energy of like, oh, I need to leave before that chick. Like, I need to be the first one out because if I'm the first one out, I win. What? You don't win at all. There's no star. The person who stayed the longest is the one who wins. So I would literally lay there and force myself to do 10 slow, deep breaths. And if I like started to speed up my breath, I would make myself start from scratch, which was like, it felt like there was like bugs crawling on me because I was so anxious and so like uncomfortable with slowness. But then I taught myself that if you slow down, it's still safe and nothing bad is going to happen. And now I'm like totally happy to be the last one getting up from a yoga class. And I am not bothered by the other people winning because they were faster. Again, there's no winning there. But that's something that we just need to learn. The other thing that I'll mention as women, we have this social conditioning. So women in the past, and I'm like hundreds of years ago, the only way you could survive was if you were in a tribe. So you need to be belonging, you need to connect, you need to be with other people. So we do have this strong need to be liked. But then if we get into success, people will celebrate you until you get too successful. and then someone's going to want to take you down. And that sucks, but that's the truth. Cancel culture is not something that might happen someday, but like we see it happen all the time. And it's usually women against women, which is not nice. So, like, let's all play nice, please and thank you. But it's something that we see. So then, if we're successful, that's going to cause a ripple through your entire community. What if your best friend doesn't like you anymore? You've changed. What if you're a party girl and all of a sudden you want to get up at 6 a.m. to go to a Pilates class and you don't drink alcohol anymore? Well, you just lost all your party friends. Hi, that was me. And that's like, oh, well, I don't wait, who are my friends now? Because I don't do that anymore. Or if let's say you get together with a whole bunch of women and everyone's going in a little circle, trauma bonding, being like, men suck, dating sucks, my kids are awful, I hate my job, hate my boss, and everyone's just like, and like they're bonding. So if you are the person who are like, I'm happy, whoop, people are looking at you. Why? That's weird. Why are you so weird? And it sucks, but as society, people don't want you to succeed. And if you're too rich, too famous, too successful, your life is too good, you're going to lose friends. So as women, that makes us feel really uncomfortable. But sometimes we need to leave certain rooms that are keeping us small or leave the conversations that are not benefiting us in some way. And that's hard because we're literally conditioned and programmed to be liked, to be the good girl, and not to ruffle any feathers. But if you're happy and you're successful, you're going to ruffle feathers. And that's going to trigger things. So the fear of rejection, the fear of envy, the fear of abandonment, the fear of I'm too much, but then also the fear of I'm not enough. That's something that I see with my clients all the time. It's like they're between the too much and not enough. Their brain is literally like shaking, like, but I'm both, but neither. And this fear about growing people, I mean, I will say this over and over again, a friend breakup always hurts more than going through a separation from a man, always. And this is because of biology. So then what do women do? We shrink. We keep ourselves small. We don't charge we should be. We're not going for that promotion. And we just bring it down. Don't be too loud. Don't be seen. Don't cause any issues. Just shh. But then that means you're not going to step into your version of success. That means you're not going to step into your level of fulfillment. And even when I was transitioning from being a full-time nurse to a business owner, people were like, what the fuck are you doing? What is this? Like, what? What do you mean you make your own hours? What do you mean you just choose how much you get paid? What do you mean? And then it's like people are going to throw their opinions at you. It's like, okay, but that takes some processing and somatic healing and nervous system expansion and increasing the flexibility of your system to be able to handle that so it doesn't trigger you and you can keep on going. The other thing I'm going to touch on is perfectionism. How many people are perfectionists? I mean, I feel like it's like a pretty common trait for women. Perfectionism is actually just protection because you're trying to protect yourself from criticism, from the rejection, and you're trying to maintain control. So I won't launch that until it's perfect. I'm not going to start dating until, I lose a little bit of weight. Oh, I'm not going to go for that promotion until I finish this other like course or certification. And it's just a sense of control because again, your nervous system's not feeling safe to receive and to be seen and to step into something that is unpredictable. So self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is something that happens for everyone. It's not ideal. Sometimes we even like see it coming. And I know a lot of I see someone said, a recovering perfectionist. Beautiful. Aren't we forever in recovery for that? It's just a thing. So with self-sabotage, sometimes it just happens and you didn't even notice that it happened. And then sometimes you're just like, I'm self-sabotaging and you're in it and you're like, don't eat it. And you're like, I'm eating it. Or like, don't do it. And you're like texting the ex is like, don't, I mean, you're doing it. And you're like, no. And we fall into that. So, hey, it is what it is. Humans are weird. We got to accept that. So here's some of the reasons that self-sabotage actually happens. The first one is your nervous system set point. So, oh shoot, I made a typo. The brain is what I meant to say there. Side note, AI did not create this. It was I, and there is a typo, so proving that it's real. No big deal. So we want to maintain homeostasis. So let's say if you have a thermostat and you've set the temperature to a certain number, if it's freezing out and you open your window, it's going to get cold and the temperature is going to rise. So you can't play around with the window opening and closing. You need to reset the thermostat to be at a different number. So that is our set point. And we have set points for everything. How stressed you get, how much joy you feel, how much visibility you can handle, how much chaos you can handle, how much money you can make. And we have a set point of what feels safe. So if we change that, your system's going to do whatever it needs to heat things up, cool things down to get you back to your level. And we don't want that because that's going to limit us. The women that I work with, they usually want to break through their upper limit. So how do you know you're hitting an upper limit? Things are going really well. And then all of a sudden you're going to start procrastinating. You're going to the gym, you're eating well, things are going good. Ooh, I'm feeling good in my pants. Let's do this. And then all of a sudden you're like, fuck this. I'm eating a tub of ice cream. And I'm not saying don't eat the tub of ice cream, but like, are you doing it with intention or are you doing it with self-sabotage? Because that's a different energy. You might be in a relationship, things are going really well. And then you're like, I'm going to start a fight. I'm actually going to remember something from like 6 months ago. And like, we need to discuss it right now because things are going good. We do this. This is a human thing. You might also emotionally shut down. You might manifest getting sick. The number of times I've had clients, they're about to launch something big. They're so excited, especially when it's something like a podcast or like something that involves speaking. And they're like, oh, I have a cold. I'm like, oh, interesting. How interesting that that is exactly when it came. And that happens. So it's okay. It's just your body wanting to go back to familiarity where things are predictable and it just takes you down a notch. So that upper limit, it's like you're trying to break through. And then when you get really close, your body's just like, oh, let's take it down a notch. The other thing is an emotional addiction. This is, oh crap, I did another typo. Clearly, perfectionism is no longer one of the traits I struggle with. I'm like, here we are. So, with emotional addiction, this is actually really interesting. You know, the memes that are like, am I the drama? No. Am I? Yes. Yes, you are. If you are someone who's used to chaos and you are used to like the most insane things happen to you and you're the friend who has those wild stories, you're actually addicted to that. You're addicted to that adrenaline. You're addicted to your friends being like, oh no, you're addicted to that. And it's, I'm not shaming you, we're just talking some facts. So when that happens, we get accustomed to certain states. And that's okay. You can also get addicted to the joy. You can also get addicted to things being calm and gentle. And it's so interesting because, like, when I was going through my somatic journey, one of the things, I mean, one, if you haven't done any somatic healing in your, like, you live in your brain, you won't ever notice the temperature unless it's like really hot or really cold. So I.e. always in Toronto. But you know when the temperature is perfect, that like 2 days of the year when it's actually nice? You know when the temperature is so wonderful and it's you actually can't tell. It's like your body is the same temperature of the air and you can't feel the air. I know this sounds really crazy. Go with me. And there's no humidity. There's no smog. There's no like crazy heat. There's no freezing rain or hail or anything. It's just like, it's just nice. And you don't notice that temperature. You won't notice it if you've never slowed down to feel safe to feel what you feel in the moment. So when we're addicted to chaos and we're addicted to that emotional roller coaster, we're always going to be future, past, future, past, future, past. Oh my goodness, can't believe that happened. Oh my God, I'm so scared for what might happen. And you're going back and forth. But if you land in the now, you can just be here. And I'll invite you to just wiggle your toes and just, you have feet. And this is grounding. And that's so easy. And I would really recommend doing multiple times throughout the day where You get caught in your head and you're going, going, going. But if you take a second to slow down and you're just like, oh my goodness, I have feet, wiggle your toes, feel your feet, really like land in your feet, your body resets and you're here. But unless you program yourself to see that and to lean into that, you're not going to be addicted to the goodness. You're just addicted to the chaos because that's what you're used to. And that's okay. It is what it is. Now we're aware, we can tweak things. The other big thing is your window of tolerance. You have a window of how much you are used to. And this is actually, I would say, with money, this one's kind of easy to witness. We all have like the minimum that is always in your account. And even when things are going kind of, oh my goodness, what's going on? Something came up, some sort of plot twist, and then you dip, you're going to go back to your minimum. But you also have a maximum. You probably have the maximum of how much you usually get paid, whether you're a business owner or you have a regular 9 to 5, and you have that number. And you always fall in between those two numbers. So let's say you made a bunch of money. Oh my goodness, amazing. You're so excited. Logically, yes, 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 give me more. And then your car breaks down. Or your, I don't know, your heater AC breaks down. Or you need a new roof. Or something else. And then you come back to exactly where you were. We have that with emotions as well as being in certain states. So if you fall out of that window that you're used to, you might go into hyper arousal. So you're anxious, you go into the perfectionism, you go into the overworking, you go into that like scanning, like antsy mode, or you might go into being hypo aroused, which is a shutdown, procrastination, numb, exhausted. So when we are leaning into success, when we are expanding, your window gets moved. So you have to leave your comfort zone in order to get to where you want to go. You have to lean into fear and the unknown in order to grow and change. We have no choice. And if you think about it, when you were like young, you weren't born able to walk. You had to like get up and then you fell and then you fell more and then you probably hit your head and it wasn't good. But imagine you're like, oh, I'm scared. I'm not going to walk. I'm good. Just gonna lay here. What? That's ridiculous. And that's ridiculous to say for a child because, like, obviously, or like you were riding a bike and you fell off and I don't know, you bumped your head, you scratched your knee, and like, oh my goodness, I'm never getting on a bike again. No, please don't get on a bike. But then as adults, we like forget. And you might get out there and you fall in love and you get your heart broken. You're like, never again. Well, please don't. That was just that one person. And if you clear the belief system that got you to that person, then you can get to the other person who's meant for you. So with your window of tolerance, you have no choice but to expand it and to go outside of it. And this is why when people are talking about nervous system regulation, I'm like, that's not the point. You actually want nervous system expansion because then your window of tolerance actually increases. And you also want nervous system flexibility because life is gonna life. Like that, we don't have a choice there. There are going to be plot twists. Things are going to go awry, not the way we want them to. But then rather than you're just crumbling, you're just going to be like, okay, let's keep going. Okay, got it. And you don't disassociate, you stay in your body. And then you can use your intuition, your critical thinking to actually move yourself through it because it didn't push you too far out because your tolerance is higher. So, what is this fear of ease? Logically makes no sense. But don't forget, your logical mind is only about 5%, and it is your subconscious mind that's going to really make a difference. So when things are going really good, people are going to get pulled into a fear spiral. So what people always say is, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that's a stupid saying. It makes no sense. You're also going to start overanalyzing. It's like you're having a great day, you're relaxed. Imagine like your dishes are done, your laundry's put away, your emails are answered, you've paid your bills, like every check, 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 check. And then you like lay down and just take a moment. And then you're like, what did I forget? What's missing? I forgot something. What is it? And your brain's like going, as opposed to like, oh my goodness, I'm a bad bitch. I just got everything done. This is great. I'm just going to lay down and I'm just going to chill. We don't do that. We need to do that. Please and thank you. So we were probably taught from a young age that peace is temporary, joy is temporary, or like something good happens and something bad happens. We weren't programmed or conditioned to think that good things happen and good things can stay. And we're not blaming our families. Everyone's gone through things. No one's life or no one's childhood, no one's experiences are perfect. But sometimes the previous generations were really negative in terms of just doom scrolling or just like expecting the worst or like everything's a conspiracy. And we need to kind of detach ourselves from that and be like, is that true though? Is it? Because it can be good. And I'm not saying life is perfect because it's not, but life is as good as you let it be. So then our nervous system needs to learn that peace can actually stay. And you can also have duality. So even if parts of your life are an absolute shitstorm, it's okay. I'm in the middle of a divorce and my life is great. Were there spicy bits that I did not enjoy? Absolutely. But I did a lot of inner work like before I left and like right as I left, where I'm like, I'm having an easy divorce. Because you hear everyone be like, divorce is the hardest thing you're ever going to go through. It's going to be horrific. All these things are going to go wrong. And I literally was like, I don't accept that. Like I refuse to accept that. And like my divorce was amicable-ish. So we're not like buddies by any means, but I was like, I refuse to accept otherwise. And it has been very smooth. So just saying. So we need to be aware that your body is going to respond before your conscious mind. So two things on this. Your conscious mind is about 5%, which means 95% is about your subconscious mind, which you're not aware of. Your subconscious mind is going to be created during childhood, so between 0 to about 7 or 8. And you're literally a sponge taking in all this information, and your brain isn't developed yet to be like, oh, is that true? Wait, I don't subscribe to that. Can we discuss this? You're just like, okay, truth, 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 and you're taking it all in. The other thing is that your subconscious mind actually maps onto your body. So depending on where you have tension, tightness, pain, ailments, certain dysfunctions are actually going to be indications of the limiting beliefs that you have. And that's something that's really interesting. So all of your limiting beliefs are going to map onto your body. So if you're not going to do the subconscious work, you're missing 95% of the healing. But then if you're not doing the body work, you're missing even more because your body is always going to respond before your brain does. So you get that weird sensation that like, something feels off. I don't know. And that is something that's unconscious and it just happens. And unfortunately, sometimes you're going to push away good opportunities just because you're not used to things being good and easy. Hence, please, 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 please let success feel safe so you can lean into the goodness and things can be easier. And the thing is, with your subconscious mind, what is the story you have around success? And in the beginning, when we were talking about success and what it looks like for you and where you feel it in your body, and whether there were some thoughts that popped in of like, oh, people like me can't, or like, oh, I'm too old, or oh, it's too hard, there's not enough time, I don't have enough money, da 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 da, whatever that came through, all of that can actually be shifted. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is guaranteed other than death and taxes, obviously, but everything else can be shifted. So if you find that success creates too much pressure, or if you find that good things don't last, or if you find that if something good happens, something bad will happen right after, there's any other sort of story or belief that can actually be shifted. And we can't override your subconscious with willpower discipline. You're always going to fall to your conditioning. So when coaches aren't doing the inner work in terms of the subconscious mind, you're just trying to like power through. It's like you're putting whiteout on your laptop screen because you made a typo. Like that doesn't make sense. Like, sure, it's there for the moment, but then as you scroll, then you just have a glob of whiteout on your screen. So that doesn't make sense. But then at the same time, if you're not doing the somatic work, so when I say, hey, I'm going to send you $10,000 and your gut drops, what is that sensation? Because that sensation is saying something. So you might not logically be aware, or subconsciously, we might not be able to access it, but we can access it through the body because your body's actually telling a full story and why you're going to push away success. So then what creates change? Change is created through nervous system flexibility. And that is what I was saying in terms of having a little bit more bandwidth. So when things are happening in life, because life is gonna life, you have space to kind of roll with the punches. So I'm going through a divorce. It is what it is. I moved, and then most of my things in storage got ruined. So not only am I dealing with the finances of the divorce, and obviously there was just a lot of money that was lost in that whole process, but then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, cool, I'm buying new furniture right now. But then I also had to pay so much money to have my stuff in storage. I had feels, not gonna lie, I'm human, but then I didn't drop into a spiral of doom and self like pity and victimhood. I was like, okay, she gets a new couch. Let's go. Oh, that's garbage. Okie dokie. Let's make it happen because I had the flexibility. It's actually funny because I have an aura ring, so it tells me my levels of stress, my HRV, and my resilience. It didn't dip. And I was like, oh shit, it's going down for sure. And no, because I do the inner work, I do the somatic healing, I do the mindfulness in terms of connecting with my body. So I have room. So when there's a weird ass plot twist that's supposed to absolutely shatter me and would have in the past, I'm just kind of like, not ideal. Cool, cool. It's another spicy chapter of my autobiography that's coming. And all right, let's go. And I carry on. Very important. There's also a need for you to have safety with positive emotions. We're used to surviving, not thriving. So if things are good and there's joy, when there's goodness, when somebody does something good for you, it's like, are you able to receive it? Something I noticed with women is, let's say someone's like, look at this, I love your hair. Oh, it's so dirty. Oh, it's just dry shampoo. Oh my God, I love your outfit. Oh, it's so old. What? Stop. You are struggling receiving goodness. The answer, and I'm not saying there's a correct answer, but can you just like receive it and just be like, thanks. And maybe this was a shirt that you got on sale and you scored an amazing discount. But why are we taking it down a notch? Why can't we just, that's not the purpose. She doesn't care how much it costs. You're just getting a compliment and you can just be like, thank you. So we need to feel safe receiving the goodness. Receiving is safe. Being seen is safe. Ease is safe. The goodness, the joy, the abundance, the wealth, all of that is safe. The subconscious rewiring, we can't skip that. Your subconscious beliefs are going to be your operating system, and that is how you will always default. Your thoughts, your beliefs are going to create your thoughts. Your thoughts are going to create your emotions. Your emotions are going to create your behaviors, and your behaviors are going to create your results. So if you have some bad vibes with money, you're not going to make money because it's determined in your programming that money is bad. And your identity is going to be rooted in this. So if you are someone who struggles, someone who it never works out for, that is your story. And you are literally married and ingrained with that story. So if you don't change your story, your result is not going to change either. Now, change requires this repetition, this emotional integration, this somatic safety. Again, feeling safe to receive, feeling safe for success. And when you are more successful, whatever that means to you, people are going to judge you. There are going to be people who don't like you. You are going to get bad reviews. You are going to lose friends. You are going to get all of that. But then that's okay. Like that just is. Like, don't tell me that, I don't know, Gucci has never gotten a bad review or someone has never gone back, be like, I don't like this, or like, there's something wrong with this. They don't care. They're like, okay, cool. Like Amazon, I'm pretty sure anything you return, they just like throw it in the garbage. Like they don't, which I don't think is a good thing. That's its own conversation, but they don't ask. They don't care. They're making so much money that that is something that literally doesn't matter. Like, oh, you don't want it? Cool. Got it. moving on. Like it's not worth that conversation. So if you want success, you have to be able to let things roll off your back. The other thing that's really important, which I found to be incredibly pivotal in my healing journey, was co-regulation. Healing isn't supposed to happen in isolation. It's supposed to happen in community. And it's also not supposed to like take forever. So when you are in the right room with the right people, with the right mentor, with the right healer, with the right support system, anything is possible. And it just makes it easier because you can't see your own blind spot. So even the best neurosurgeon, they're not doing neurosurgery on their own brain. Like that's literally ridiculous. But then now society has somehow talked us into doing everything on our own. You're not supposed to be a mother by your own. You need help from an entire village. Running a business, like entrepreneurship, like you will be tested in all the different ways. You need to be able to do this with other people. And for you to have that support in the proximity, and for someone to call out your blind spots, and for you to have someone who you can be accountable to, it makes a huge difference because it literally changes the level of regulation you're at. When you're with someone who's really calm, grounded, perhaps successful, and able to hold more, you see that it's possible and it relaxes you. Like when you're with someone that's like super agitated, like you absorb that energy, but you can also absorb the other energy that's more grounded and expansive and feel safe. So your nervous system can reprogram that and actually start feeling safe. The last thing that I wanted to say before we go into our somatic experience, also, we've gone over, I'm so sorry. There was a lot of things I wanted to share with you guys, which I'm actually going to unapologize for because it's just really juicy. Women usually know their patterns and they know their trauma, they know their fears, they know their limiting beliefs. A lot of people come to me and be like, these are my limiting beliefs. I'm like, perfect, let's get rid of them. But that's something you can't do on your own. And that's something that I have a coach, I have a therapist that does somatic healing. You can't get into it on your own. You need someone to be able to hold that space for you to help rewire that, because awareness is important. That's step one. But then to create the lasting change, that does require someone else to be able to kind of like wiggle things around and remove them. And when it comes down to it, your next level isn't going to be blocked by your lack of potential. Again, you are all more than qualified and capable. You're going to be blocked by the nervous system having this fear in terms of expansion and to take in more. So, that being said, I'm going to not share for a second. It was like a floating head. It was weird. Anyways, I wanted to do an experience with you guys in terms of figuring out what feels unsafe in your body for the success. So, what I wanted to do was the time technique. So, we're just going to see where this came from. I'm going to do a little bit of a different version. So, it's going to be with your body, and we're going to be kind of using your subconscious mind as well as your body and the sensations. There's no wrong way of doing this. I invite you to just follow along. That was incredible. Thank you, Jacqueline. Yay, Grace, amazing. Awesome. That was a tiny bit of subconscious reprogramming and a tiny bit of subconscious healing. And here you are. Jacqueline says, thank you, feeling much lighter. So good. Love that. I clearly went over time, but again, I'm not going to apologize because that was juicy and I need to get into it. I'm so, so, so happy you ladies came. Now, I did mention on my stories that I'm going to be announcing a new offering that I have. So there's multiple ways of diving into this work in case this is something that intrigues you. So I've always had my 12 session bundle in case you want to do a slow and steady accountability, doing it over a chunk of time. So that's the spark. The other thing that I have is a group program. The next one is all about wealth and money, and it's going to be fully reprogramming your capacity to receive. And then the brand new offering that I've never done before is I'm going to be doing a half-day intensive. So I know some of you are really, really busy ladies, and doing something weekly or bi-weekly feels a little bit overwhelming in case you're moms, you're running businesses and companies and this and that. So what I do have is half-day intensive where you will fill out a very extensive form, not gonna lie. I will pick out your limiting beliefs just from how you've answered things. And then we literally do half a day of this where we are just going in. This is a limiting belief, release it. This triggers you, release it. Somatic healing, integration, embodiment, but it's all in one juicy bundle. It's not a do it quick in and out kind of a deal. Trust me, because you do have homework afterwards, but it is a way to really dive into something that you're struggling with and pick it apart so you have a massive result quicker. So imagine that you're headed this way and we change your trajectory even by a few degrees. You will literally end up in a completely different spot because I can reprogram what you view as a fear, what you view as being overwhelming, and then get to the nitty gritty of what's actually holding you back. So that is something that I'm now offering. I'm going to be sending out an email with all the details. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Pretty please, any questions at all, if you want to send me an email or DM me, I'm always available. If something came up that you don't want to share on the group, I totally understand. If there's something that intrigued you, you're curious about, I'm all ears. But also know that I'm going to be sending you guys a replay. So if you want to re-listen to this and do this again, that's the big thing with your nervous system being reprogrammed and reset. Repetition is important. So whatever came up for you, pretty please take a moment to journal. What was the fear? What was the sensation? What are the patterns that you have been repeating that's holding you back? And then what came through on the other side when we did that little bit of reprogramming, a little bit of somatic healing? What came through for you? What can you shift? What can you integrate into your daily life so you could actually change the trajectory of where you're headed? Because I want each of you to be incredibly successful and happy and feel safe in receiving more and more and more because you deserve it. Yes, please, more, please, good on top of good. There's a reason I have that quote, and it's really important for me to share that with you and for you to embody it so you can get to wherever you're headed and whatever success is for you. All right, that's it. That's all. Only 30 minutes over. I'm not sorry. Thank you so much for staying and doing something new and different. I love and appreciate each of you. And again, if you have questions, you know where to find me, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay, take care. Bye.